Good morning and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing on fire and emergency management. At this time, we ask that you silence all electronic devices, and at no time is anyone to approach the dais. If you have any other questions during the hearing, please see the Sergeant-at-Arms. Chair, we're ready to begin.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Councilmember Joanne Ariola, and I am Chair to the Fire and Emergency Management Committee. I want to thank all for being here this morning for today's hearing, which is an oversight of the FDNY's search, rescue, and fire investigative procedures. I would also like to acknowledge that I am accompanied by my colleague, Councilmember Susan Zhuang. I'd like to thank our committee staff, Josh Kingsley, Senior Counsel, and William Hongash, Senior Policy Analyst, as well as the formidable Phyllis Cirillo, my Chief of Staff. At today's hearing, we expect to hear from the fire department on their current search and rescue operations during numerous types of emergencies, including weather and flooding-related events, building collapses, vehicle accidents, and of course, fires. The committee seeks to ensure that the FDNY is adequately equipped and prepared for both large and small-scale search and rescue operations, as well as general fire and non-fire emergencies. In addition, we'll hear testimony from the department's Bureau of Fire Investigation, which is responsible for determining the origin and causes of fires and explosions. We seek to learn more about certain facets of the department's Special Operations and Command, which includes Fireworks Enforcement Task Force, the FDNY's Canine Unit, which plays a crucial role in finding victims following structural collapses, and I really do look forward to hearing from the administration, and I hope this will be a thoroughly informative hearing. I will now turn the mic to Council for swearing in.
Thank you, Chair. First, for the administration, we'll be hearing from FDNY. We'll be hearing from Chief Malcolm Moore, Chief Daniel Flynn, and General Counsel Don Nguyen. Can you please just raise your right hand and just affirm the following, that you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but your truth in your testimony before this committee, and to answer honestly to council member questions? Okay, Doug, thank you. You may go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Ariola and members of the Fire and Emergency Management Committee. My name is Daniel Flynn, and I am the Chief Fire Marshal of the City of New York. I am joined by Malcolm Moore, Chief of Special Operations, and Deputy Commissioner Don Nguyen, General Counsel for the FDNY. Thank you for the opportunity today to discuss search and rescue and fire investigative procedures. The concept of search and rescue plays out in multiple ways for the fire department. Upon arriving at a fire, firefighters conduct searches to locate individuals and remove them to safety. We train to surmount any challenge and overcome any obstacle to rescue individuals in peril. Sometimes this is straightforward, as locating a conscious individuals and assisting them or that person out of the fire. Sometimes it means identifying an unconscious or immovable individual and working on physically removing them from fire danger. Depending on the nature of the location and the evolving conditions of the fire, performing a rescue may involve complicated maneuvers such as a rope rescue from a window or rooftop. While all firefighters are trained to search a premises and make rescues, the companies within Special Operations Command, or SOC, have a broad mission that includes a specific focus on the rescue of civilians and firefighters. There are approximately 650 members within the Special Operations Command. Firefighters become eligible to enter SOC after 5 years with the department. To join, they complete an online application, participate in an interview, and are considered based on their years of training and experience. Within SOC, there are 5 rescue companies and 8 squad companies. Rescue and squad companies respond to every confirmed fire, as well as other extraordinary incidents. Squad companies function as engine companies in addition to their SOC capabilities. Squad companies members also undergo specialized training and work with complex equipment to enable them to respond to medical incidents, deal with hazardous materials, and make forcible entries and carry out a variety of search and rescue procedures. Rescue company members have additional specialized training. Their focus at a fire is primarily on securing a scene and performing search and rescue procedures. This includes extrication and victim removal, including the rescue of civilians and fellow firefighters. Rescue members are also trained in scuba operations and respond to water incidents, vehicle extrications, and other complex incidents. When a firefighter is in peril, the rescue of that firefighter is most often performed by a member of a rescue company. Special Operations Command also includes other units that are involved in search and rescue. Marine Operations Command is a fleet of 32 boats of various sizes to patrol and respond to emergencies in the waters around New York City, and when circumstances dictate, incidents across the region, including along the coast and up the Hudson River. Rescues range from minor incidents involving small craft that have run out of gas to large-scale incidents such as the Miracle on the Hudson, during which members of the FDNY Marine Unit assisted in evacuating passengers from a commercial jet that had landed in the river. SOC also contains the Robotics Unit. As committee members will remember from our hearing and demonstration earlier this year, the Robotics Unit provides responders with exceptional visual and situational awareness using drones and aerial, naval, and ground-based robotic devices. The Bureau of Fire Investigation procedures are carried out by the Bureau of Fire Investigation members, fire marshals. Fire marshals are law enforcement officers who identify and examine evidence at fire scenes to determine the cause and origin of a fire. They analyze and interpret laboratory results. They conduct interviews of witnesses and potential suspects, and the conclusion of their investigation of incendiary incidents often includes an arrest of a suspect or suspects. A critical element of the job is preparing and swearing out affidavits to obtain subpoenas and serving those subpoenas upon witnesses so that they can gather evidence necessary to carry out investigations. Fire marshals prepare detailed investigative reports and testify as expert witnesses at hearings and trials. To become a fire marshal, uniformed firefighters who have a minimum of 5 years of field experience become eligible to take a civil service exam administered by the Department of Citywide Administrative Services. Fire marshals then complete a comprehensive 17-week training course that includes extensive lessons on topics including fire science and chemistry, electrical systems, evidence collection, fire debris analysis, safety, and the causes of fire. They receive instruction on the New York State Penal Law, the rules of criminal procedure, probable cause, search and seizure rules, arrest processing, and evidence and property vouchering. Fire marshals use a variety of techniques when carrying out their investigation. Through a partnership with the New York City Police Department, marshals access database systems to examine detailed reports on criminal activity and suspects. On average, BFI completes approximately 5,700 fire investigations a year. Within the Bureau of Fire Investigation, the K-9 unit works with canines that are specifically trained to identify accelerants and locate survivors during disasters and structural collapse incidents. Fire marshals investigating an incident typically activate the K-9 unit when there is a probability that an incendiary device or arson is a potential factor in the investigation. The unit develops physical evidence at a scene that can be taken into custody by marshals, tested, and offered into evidence for use in criminal prosecutions. In a major emergency, the K-9 unit responds with one or more K-9 teams to locate potential victims. The dogs can be extremely valuable in locating victims in need of rescue in collapse incidents. Currently, the department operates 3 K-9 teams. Dog handlers are highly trained and observant. They send the K-9s into circumstances only when they are comfortable with the level of risk to the dog. The K-9s receive regular veterinary visits and care. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify about the incredible work performed by the members of the Special Operations Command and the Bureau of Fire Investigation. We are very proud of the work that is done by our SOC units and by our fire marshals within the city. I'm happy now to take any questions at this time.
Thank you so much, Chief, and we are all very proud of the work of the fire department. Please know that. I've also been joined by my colleague, Councilmember Lynn Schulman. So we're going to start with search and rescue. So in what circumstances and in what types of emergencies does the FDNY engage in search and rescue operations?
I guess I'll start with that question.
Okay.
Good morning,
Thank you,
Chair.
Chief Moore.
So when you talk about car accidents, fires, collapses, high-angle rescue, all of those things, those are the incidences where the department basically engages in search and rescue. All of our fire units are trained to perform certain levels, and then we have the highly trained SOC units that can come in and supplement.
Right. And I'm assuming there are different procedures for each of the different emergencies?
Yes,
So-
yes. We have,
Explain that a little bit.
I guess we have training bulletins essentially covering just about every eventuality that you'll see during an emergency, and the units are required to use those procedures when they're operating.
And when you do have search and rescue operations, what units usually conduct those?
I'm sorry, repeat you?
When you do have search and rescue emergencies, what units are usually called to conduct those?
Okay, well, at fires, all of our units are trained to conduct search and rescue. A lot of companies particularly perform it at fire operations. And like I said, the rescue and the squad companies usually supplement those efforts.
And are there circumstances where other city agencies would play a role in search and rescue operations?
Well, PD is trained to a certain level to do some of those things. They're responsible, their core competency is water rescue, so they are the lead city agency when it comes to that. Collapse, we're the lead city agency, so they're oftentimes present, but we're the incident commander at those incidents.
Right, and what are the qualifications and training requirements that exist for employees working in units that conduct search and rescue?
For firefighting units, regular line units, the 361 engine and ladder companies, basically they just have to make it through the 18 weeks of probationary firefighter school where they would learn the basic techniques. For special operations, we run a number of advanced level classes for the members that work in the command. The minimum requirement is that they have 5 years in the department before they can apply and eventually get an opportunity to work in special ops.
And who establishes the standards for the special operations training and qualifications for each unit?
Who establishes the standards? Well, they've been set, I mean, over years. SOC has been part of the department for 50 years or more. We follow NFPA training standards when it comes to most of the things, but a lot of the work we do is unique to New York. So over time, we've built out the training models to reflect what we do here in the city.
And so they haven't changed in
Well, we're always adding things. We're always adding things as new technologies come in, as you know, the new building construction, all of those things. We build that into the training that we do.
Well, one addition is, there was a lot of talk over the summertime about using drones, especially for water rescues.
Yes.
So to what extent does the fire department utilize drones in search and rescue operations?
Okay, so the drone program came in around 2017, and it's built out over the years. The way we use them in particular now is when we have fires, the command tactical unit, that's the robotics unit, they're assigned on second alarms or special called by the incident commander. They fly drones overhead, giving us a nice 360 aerial view of the fire scene. In instances where buildings have collapsed or we're not able to operate, we've had multiple instances where we've been able to fly drones, small, low-level drones inside the buildings to take out, to take a look at the layout in areas where we wouldn't put members.
Great. So in my district and a number of districts across the city, of course, we're surrounded by water, and so we have our city beaches. And a lot of the search and rescue that happens, except for fires, happens on our beaches over the summertime. So, do you coordinate with the NYPD for when drone usage could be more helpful for you, and you guys are trying to get somebody out of a riptide or some type of dangerous situation in the water?
Well, starting last year, we basically had dedicated units operating on the beaches, particularly in Rockaway, from the weekend before Memorial Day through just this past Sunday. So we have units patrolling the beach, flying drones. I think we have 3 units. Parks Department, I believe, has units out there. PD has units out there, and OEM actually has units out there flying also. So we divide the beach up, and we're patrolling those areas from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., a couple hours before the lifeguards come on and a couple hours after.
Right, and I know that a lot of, because what we see, in addition to drownings or potential drownings or those type of water rescues, we see a lot of privately operated boats and jet skis in the water, and they're not, sometimes they're just, you know, wally weekenders, and they get a little jammed up. So how often would you say that your water rescue is conducted because of that type of an accident or a water rescue because of a boat or a jet ski?
Well, looking at the last couple of years, I don't think we've had a lot of accidents involving jet skis. We do get a lot of phone calls when they fall off the jet skis in the water, things like that. So we get a lot of, we build a lot of responses based on people thinking that these people are in more distress than they actually are. But I'd say the main body of work is people getting caught in riptides or people going out a little bit too far into the water where they don't belong.
Right, and we do a lot of work here in this body with education and outreach. So does the FDNY or, you know, work with, is it the FDNY or do you work with other agencies for any type of outreach relating to safety precautions for water, recreation boats, or jet skis?
Well, we've done PSAs and other things to spread the word about water dangers, operating safely, not being in the water when lifeguards are off duty, and the like. I think the primary responsibility for that is parks. I'm not really sure what they're doing in terms of ad campaigns and otherwise.
Okay, great. So in your testimony, Chief, you said that there are 32 boats that you have in the command. So how are those resources deployed? Are they deployed citywide, or are they kind of in a station and they're called out? How are they deployed when you need a water rescue that would need a boat?
So we have 32 boats in the fleet, but in actuality, the in-service units, we have 3 full-time units, Marines 1, 6, and 9, and then we have 3 seasonal boats that we put in off of Brooklyn, off of Throgs Neck and Queens, and a second boat off of Staten Island. So during the months of May to November, we have 6 full-time boats in service. The other boats are boats we interchange based on the scale of an incident.
And they're held where? They're deployed. I don't know if I missed that portion.
Well, they're deployed from essentially firehouses.
From Central.
Right.
Okay, so they're not like
Right.
based.
Like Marine 6 is in the Marine Yard. Marine 1 is on the Lower West Side. Marine 9 is out in Staten Island. Marine 3 is out in Brooklyn. 4 is out in Throgs Neck, Queens. Throgs Neck, Queens. That section of Queens and
A portion of it is.
say again?
A portion of it's Queens, so you're right.
Yeah, right. That is the waters right
Okay.
there. It's right there from the Bronx. Fort Totten is what I was
I
thinking.
asked that question because we do have a firehouse right on the canal in Howard Beach in District 32.
Yes.
And we have an NYPD boat there, but we don't have a fire boat. So I just
Yes.
wondered, because there are so many water rescues
Yes.
along the Rockaway Peninsula, I just think you might want to just make a note, maybe that's a place where we could station something.
So interestingly enough, just to answer, we've had conversations and discussions about that area. The only problem there is the amount of time it takes for them to get out of the canal into the water. So it really hasn't proven to be as effective as the boat responding out of the Brooklyn location going towards the Rockaways.
Thank you, guys. I want to thank you guys because beginning of this year, my district had a 4-alarm fire. You guys come probably in 20 minutes. and help the family and everyone is safe. And I do have one question. But after the fire, I heard there's a couple firefighters get injured. Is there any way you guys can do more to prevent your firefighters get injured from those rescues and also help the neighbors?
The only thing I think I could say about that is, listen, firefighting it's a tough job. You're talking about a 4-alarm fire. I imagine there was a lot going on there, and injuries happen. I mean, it's tough work.
Is there any way to
Risk
reduce?
work. Well, our equipment, does the lion's share of protecting us. Our SCBAs keep us from inhalation injuries and those kind of things. Our bunker gear protects us from thermal injuries. But the physical injuries associated with firefighting, it's about as random as anything.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Councilmember Schulman. I want to thank you for all of your wonderful work. I'm in a district, we don't have a ton of fires in my district. It's District 29, which is Forest Hills, Kew Gardens, and Richmond Hill. We seem to have more fires than than the other two parts of the district. What I wanted to ask you was and I don't think, Chair, did you ask about the lithium ion? Okay. So lithium ion batteries, there is a shop in my district that was that you guys closed. It looks like it's reopened on Queens Boulevard. And the guy was arrested, as a matter of fact, the owner, because he had some other illegal activity in addition to what was going on with selling fake batteries and not registered batteries and all of that. So I just want to know, how often do you go out and look at shops? Do you do it proactively? Do you wait for somebody to make a complaint?
I could take that. So yes, I'm very familiar with the incident that you referenced there. We take it very seriously, and we re-inspect every single time when we do find violations at those locations. And to answer the question, do we do it proactively or based on complaint? All of the above. We're out there every single day. We've established a lithium-ion battery task force, members of BFI, along with members of Bureau of Fire Prevention, accompanied by the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, go out on a daily basis to inspect commercial locations and to address any complaints that are received through 311 or other means. We pledge to get out to address any complaints within 12 hours related to lithium-ion batteries. We have conducted thousands of these inspections and investigations. The arrest that you mentioned, that was a repeat offender. So he basically was thumbing his nose at the law. We felt at that point it was reckless, and it rose to the level of arrest, and we did take action in that specific case, and we have done that in the past as well, and we would be open to doing that in the future. The work that we've done so far, I believe, has made a tremendous difference. We are making sure that these shops are selling certified batteries, high quality batteries that are not as prone to causing these fires. We've launched a advertising campaign with the help of the council and the mayor's office. We spent $1 million on ads. We're on the radio every day talking about this. We're on the subways. I think the message is getting out, and it's really reflected in our data. As of this morning, the number of fires are very similar to this time last year. However, this time last year we had 109 injuries from these fires specific to these devices, with 14 fatalities. And as of this morning, we've only had 68 injuries and 3 fatalities. So we're 11 down from where we were last year. And I really attribute that to the public safety messaging that we're getting out there, and the enforcement that's being conducted when it is brought to our attention. Also, another fact to note, we've encouraged people to keep these outside when possible. And I think that message is getting across, because this time last year we had 134 structural fires. That would mean fires that occur inside buildings. This time, as of this morning, we only have 97. So I think the numbers have flipped, where we're starting to see more non-structural fires, because people are getting that message and they're keeping them outside. But anytime anybody feels that they see something in your district that doesn't look right, just call us and let us get out there and take a look at it. We are eager to find these locations, and we want to go out and inspect them on a daily basis.
Do you do, I know you talked about the public service campaign. Do you actually, because I know your community affairs unit goes out and does things on a more local level, do you have folks to do that as well in terms of the lithium-ion batteries? Because there are a lot of complexes in my district that might benefit from somebody coming out. Because I live in what's called Parker Towers, which is 3 large buildings, if you're familiar, in Forest Hills. And I see people coming in with bikes that I know that live there, that have lithium-ion batteries on them. So is there a way to have them come in and do a session in the district or, something like that?
Absolutely. Our fire safety education unit, that is one of the top priorities within the unit at this time. Amongst other things, too. We can't lose sight of the other fire safety concerns due to this epidemic that we're facing here with the batteries. So that is the top of their agenda, and of course, if anybody would like us to come out and do presentations, we do those as well on a daily basis. Certainly when requested, we would love to get into these large building complexes and talk to management and spread the word. One of the things that precludes us in our inspections is that we can't go into people's private residences.
Right,
to
no,
inspect.
understood.
So
Just
it's really, it's
education.
based on common areas.
Yes.
And really fire safety education, which encompasses a lot of things, as I mentioned, close the door, have working smoke alarms, which we partner with the Red Cross, and we install thousands of smoke alarms a year. If you need a smoke alarm, contact the Red Cross, and we will accompany the Red Cross members, and we'll actually install a smoke alarm for you in your house for free of charge.
Okay, no, that's great. And also, what I'm going to ask my colleagues to do, so most of us have email newsletters that we send out, so if you give us a blurb, we can add that to it, just if people have questions or, just a little educational piece, we're happy to do that. So, we really want to work with you. When I'm just mentioning this, I know you're not the commissioner, but when the incident happened at that shop, which is a few blocks from where I live, I wasn't notified about it, so we really want to work more closely with you. So I just wanted to mention that.
Sure. Anything that helps, we are willing to do, and we love to spread the word.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks so much. So part of what we do here as a committee is talk about your budget and talk about your staffing, because when it comes time, and we will be entering, the time for budget again before we blink an eye, that we make sure that you have what you need in order to take care of your different departments that you oversee. So how many fire marshals are there currently in the Bureau?
Well, we just put a class in. We promoted a class on Friday, which we thank the council and the mayor's office for supporting that. We promoted 29 fire marshals and 3 supervisors. That brought our level to 112 fire marshals, 21 supervisors, and 5 fire marshal commanders. That's the level 2 supervisor, which is in essence a 1-star chief.
Great.
They run our bases. We have 2 main bases, one in Brooklyn and Sunset Park. The Brooklyn base covers all of Staten Island, all of Brooklyn, and Manhattan up to 110th Street. The Queens base is located in Fort Totten. That base covers the rest of the city, Queens, Bronx, north of 110. So those are our 2 main bases, and each one of those will have a chief. And then we have our Special Operations Command in Brooklyn on Hooper Street, and we have a chief there as well. So our number of fire marshals is at 112. We do approximately 5,700 fire investigations a year, so the workload is quite high per marshal. We get the work done. We've never missed an opportunity to investigate a fire, so that hasn't precluded us from getting the work done. But right now we're at 112, and I believe our budgeted head count is 110. They allowed us to go over by 2 due to some grant funding for 2 marshals that are assigned to the Joint Terrorism Task Force.
Right, but those numbers are seriously lower than, say, 10 or 15 years ago, where you had well over 300 or 400.
Yes.
Yeah, see, the thing I know about the fire department as being chair for for 2.5 years, is that the fire department gets the job done, even if they have only 3 people in their department, right? But that doesn't mean that you don't deserve to have your budgeted head count. And that's what we want to fight for you to have, is your budgeted head count. So if you have qualified fire marshals, we have to make sure each and every one of them are working, each and every one of them out there, and we have to make sure that others are coming on as fire marshals, inspectors, and anything that has to do with search, rescue, and determining the reasons for fires. So, let's see, we've been joined by Councilmember Riley. Thank you. So, because of what I just said, would you say that if in a perfect world, you'd want a larger head count of fire marshals?
Yeah, I think every bureau within the fire department probably would like more staff, but we have adequate staff to get the job done at this time, yes. But those 29 marshals, they have to go to class, so it's not like they hit the streets right away. It's a 17-week training class, so we won't see them actually have an effective role until probably after the holidays.
5,700 fires and 112 marshals. We got to figure out a way to get you more. It's my understanding that you have fire marshals doing fire investigations, security of personnel and property, the commissioner's security detail assigned to the ATF task force, OEM liaison, youth fire setters in intervention, lithium-ion task force, the CAT team, and much more. So since they're all in different various positions throughout the department, I'll ask the question again. Do you think that the 112 is adequate?
We could always use more staff, and like you said,
That's good. We want to fight for you to have more
I
staff.
appreciate that greatly. As you mentioned, we've kind of expanded a lot of the things that we do, but again, I don't believe that our services to the citizens have diminished in any way. It's just really more workload on the individual marshal, which is unfortunate, but that's what we're facing.
Right. And with this staffing, how many fire marshals do you have on duty per tour on a daily basis?
That varies. As you mentioned, we do have those specialized units. As far as, we call them catching marshals that actually work at the base and catch the day-to-day cases. We try to operate with a minimum of 3 teams citywide, so that would be 6 fire marshals, and we are required to have a supervisor at each of our base locations. So that would be a minimum of 6 fire marshals and 2 supervisors at any time. Most times during the day, we have a greater number than that, but that's our minimum that we try to operate at.
And if they need backup where they are, if they need an additional member to come, that's not a problem. You reinforce, right?
Yes, we would, those are citywide, those 3 teams, so they would be able to respond to augment and support any mission that they have. And we also, those specialized units would also respond. We have a fire scene unit that will come out to document scenes and to provide an area of refuge to the marshals if necessary with a desk there. So they do respond to any multiple alarms. They're operating 24/7 as well. But the staff is generally higher than the 3 teams, but that's our minimum operational effectiveness.
Right, and I probably should have begun with this, but I know that there was a recent tragic loss to the BFI of a fire marshal, and I understand it was medical related, but we on our committee and me as chair are very sorry for your loss.
I appreciate that. It was a huge loss. George is a good friend, and
Yeah.
it was a huge loss for us. George, as you probably know, ran our lithium-ion battery task force for us. So he had a wealth of knowledge, and the department feels his loss. Thank you.
Yeah, but they are required to take annual physicals, correct?
We have annual medicals. Anytime you go on medical leave, if you have not had a medical within 6 months, you will be required to have a medical. There are some members from time to time that don't go on medical leave and may fall through the cracks. We actually just addressed that recently, so we're making sure that everybody within the Bureau who has not had a medical within a year will take a medical.
Well, he certainly is missed by the department and by this city at large. So I'm going to ask one more question about training, and then I'm going to yield to Councilmember Riley. So on training, what kind of continuing education or training do you provide for the marshals after they complete the initial training?
So we
Both
implemented.
in person and online?
Okay, we utilize the learning management system, which is used universally by the department. That's online training. So a marshal, we have a different block every month. Some of them will be time-sensitive issues that may arise that we want to make sure that we get training on. Some things are through online courses that we provide, but each marshal is required to take that training module. So it keeps everybody up with the 16 job performance requirements that are outlined in NFPA's 1033 standard for fire investigators. This also satisfies New York State certification requirements by completing 12 hours of tested material related to the 16 JPRs annually. We do have an annual education day that members attend focused on BFI operations. Some recent topics that we've had were search and seizure, interaction and policing people in crisis, Miranda rights, interrogations. We also do have INTAC training, tactical training. Members will participate in training focused on tactical operations. Some of those recent topics were use of force, defensive tactics, active shooter responses. We also have periodic training tips, updates that are sent to inform members of the latest information related to fire investigation, fire science, policing, officer safety, public safety, and situational awareness. And also every tour, the officer is required to conduct a drill with the members at the base.
Okay, great, thank you. I now yield to Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse my tardiness if you asked these questions already. Good morning to the fire department. Thank you so much for the tremendous work that you do within New York City. I know as being the elected official from the Bronx, we do see our fair shares of, horrific fires, and your department is always there to make sure that, our residents come out as safe as possible, so we really appreciate it. Search and rescue operations are a critical part of fire department's responsibilities, often requiring teamwork, specialized training, and quick decision-making. So I just wanted to ask, what are the psychological challenges faced by firefighters during and after search and rescue operations?
I think that toll depends on the individual. Firefighters, fire marshals, EMS members, we have a stressful job. It's a difficult job. And we do have a counseling services unit that we encourage everybody to reach out to, and I think it is utilized properly by our members. To reach out, and there's no repercussions for seeking counseling within the Bureau of Fire Investigation or otherwise. I think we have very many members that have sought the help of the counseling unit on their own, and we also provide proactive counseling to them. We have members from CSU go out to the bases that we have, go out to the firehouses, and just talk to the members about what they're feeling and what they're facing. It is the mental health concern is very great for us in the fire department, and we encourage them to do whatever they can to get their mental health right. But that is definitely a concern of ours that we take extremely seriously. Like I said, we have a dedicated counseling service unit that's located on Lafayette Street in Manhattan, where members can go to receive any kind of counseling, marriage counseling, not just related to the stresses that they have on the fire floor, but stresses they may take home as well. So we want to make sure that we stop that also. You may go home and take it out on your family, and we don't want to see that. So we take that extremely seriously, and we encourage anybody to seek help when necessary.
Thank you, Chief. How do fire departments utilize technology such as drones or thermal imaging in search and rescue efforts?
Okay, I think that one is for me. If I may just add on to what Dan just gave you about mental performance, because I think that's part of what you're talking about. Over the last, say, 5 or 6 years, we've incorporated mental performance training, bringing in instructors from all over the country as part of our training for firefighters, even before they get in the firehouse, of how to operate, the obstacles they're going to face, the stresses they're going to feel on their bodies in those moments. And I've taken the class. I've taken it actually several times, different levels of it. And it definitely, it is a phenomenal thing to sit through and watch and see how your body reacts to situations at a fire scene. You pull up to a building and there are people hanging out of the windows all over the place, and fire's here, and this is going on here, and you have all of the other stresses. To be able to maintain that calm in that moment, that's part of the training that we're giving to our members also.
But I did want to ask, how do the fire utilize technology such as drones
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
and
did. That was the
thermal
question.
imaging?
Oh,
and
my
such?
apologies.
I do appreciate that answer, because that leads into my follow-up question after, so I appreciate that answer.
Okay, so technology. Thermal imaging cameras we've had for years. They're a phenomenal asset to have when you're in a blacked out hallway, trying to make your way into a fire apartment. Simply put, they work. You hold the camera up and you're able to see things you would never be able to see with the naked eye. In terms of drones, we've been flying drones for the last 7 years. We've been building the program, and we use them in all sorts of different capacities. We use them at collapse operations. We use them at fires to give us an aerial view and even a lot of times a thermal imaging view of the fire building, so that we can make sure we see all of the hot spots and essentially finish up before we take up.
And to follow a question for your statement that you just gave about mental health, and going to a building, you do see it's a chaotic scene. There might be several different things going on. How do firefighters prioritize their search and rescue efforts when faced with multiple victims in a crisis situation?
Well, every unit that responds to a fire has an assignment, so it's their responsibility to carry out that assignment. I'd say the first arriving ladder company's primary function is to locate the fire apartment, if we're talking about an apartment building, and initiate search operations after they identify the location of the fire.
Okay. And one last question, Chair. What role does public education play in improving community safety and assisting fire departments in search and rescue scenarios?
A major role. I'd say a major role. Getting the information out there about something as simple as closing the door when you leave your fire apartment is a tremendous lifesaver. I mean, you mentioned the Bronx. I mean, we've had a bunch of these fires. I think of Prospect Avenue, perfect example of a fire where the fire was on the first floor of a 5-story building. The tenants fled the apartment and left the door open, and I think we ended up with 13 fatalities in that fire, and not one of them from the fire apartment. That's just a perfect example of a situation where closing the door would have made all of the difference.
Also in Twin Parks, it's the same
course.
situation. Nobody from the fire department was even injured in that fire. If not for the door being open, I firmly believe that nobody would have died in that fire. So that education piece is huge. If the occupants of that apartment had received the education to know that they need to close that door, nobody would have died in that fire. I really believe that.
And we'd love to collaborate with my office to do some outreach in the community. If we could do some educational workshops, I think that would be very helpful. And to all the members of the council, I think that would be helpful as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We've also been joined by Councilmember De La Rosa. Councilmember, do you have questions at this time? Okay, so I'm just going to backtrack for a second. We're going to go back to staffing, because do fire marshals go out alone, or they go out with partners?
We all have a partner.
Say again?
The fire marshals have a partner. They're teamed up with another fire
They're
marshal.
teamed up with one. And what about night tours? What kind of staffing is on night tours?
We always operate a minimum of 3 teams, so night tours as well.
All right, thank you. So now moving on to the investigation. So what type of physical evidence is collected for examination as part of a fire investigation?
We can conduct any type of investigation. We are police officers within New York State, so we conduct various, we collect various pieces of evidence. Fire debris analysis. We collect video surveillance systems. We take sworn statements from occupants and witnesses. But at a fire scene, we generally collect evidence, fire debris to submit for fire debris analysis at the NYPD lab, which we have a phenomenal relationship with the NYPD, and they will analyze any evidence that we bring to them to determine if there's accelerants within that evidence, what we collect from the area that we believe to be the origin of the fire.
All right, and did they use any specific equipment at that point to gain this evidence?
I'm not sure, to collect the evidence?
Yes.
No real specialized equipment. We just we find the area that we believe to be affected by, if it is an accelerant, and we would take a sample there. It depends on the scene. Every scene is different, drastically different, so it depends on what we would be collecting. Sometimes there's a gas can at the scene. Obviously, that's evidence, physical evidence that we need to collect, and we would send that out, take a sample of the liquid that would be in there, collect the can as evidence, but analyze the liquid that is within the can. So every scene is different, but we don't collect evidence at every scene, but when we do, we use the NYPD lab to collect it. We've collected physical evidence from suspects that have been, they may have dropped in fleeing from the crime scene. We submit that to the OCME's office for analysis, and they can conduct a DNA testing on that. We just recently had a member of EMS that was assaulted at the hospital. We were able to conduct a video surveillance, and we're able to track that individual, and we saw him discard an article of clothing. We collected that article of clothing, submitted it to the OCME's office. We had a match, and we were able to make an arrest on that for a vicious assault on one of our EMS members. So we take not only fire investigation very seriously, but the safety of our members very seriously. So that doesn't come up a lot, but we also oversee all of the security for the fire department, for our facilities as well as our personnel, and we make sure that people are not assaulting our personnel.
Right, that's good. And when the evidence is collected, and it does have to go to all different agencies, whether it's ME or the NYPD, what is the intersectionality between all the agencies for you to access the databases or any type of, computer analysis stuff, and usually how long does it take?
That's a case-by-case basis. Some evidence comes back rather quickly. DNA evidence generally takes a lot longer, so we have to wait a little while for that. Fingerprint analysis is different. The laboratory analysis generally comes back fairly quickly. We'll get that in about 2 weeks or so.
Right, and you have access to that, though? Like, you don't have to wait for a report? Do you have a
They send it directly.
database that you can go to and see where it's at pending, or?
Well, they do directly send us the results once they are available. We'll get an email from the lab that the results are available. But we recently have gained access to NYPD's Omniform system, which is a great win for us in the Bureau. So each marshal now has their own login to the Omniform system, so we can enter our own complaint reports. A lot of those lab collected evidence goes directly into that complaint report, so we're able to see that as well. Like I said, that was a huge improvement in the way we do business in BFI, and prior to that, we didn't have our own logins where we'd have to use a police officer to log us in and enter those complaint reports, but that really changed the way we do business, and those lab results would be tied to that complaint report.
All right, we got to work on getting you access to other databases that would have important
We
information that you
recently
could
got
follow.
access to NYPD's domain awareness system, which is very useful for us in our investigations. So we do have some members that have access to that as well. NYPD has been a great partner of ours, and our relationship is excellent. We are on a task force with NYPD and the ATF. Their arson and explosion unit works every single day with marshals assigned to our special investigations unit. So our relationship with NYPD is fantastic.
Okay, great. Now, we spoke about training, right? So there is ongoing training, correct? It's not just
All
your
that
initial,
training
what'd you
that
say, 17 weeks or whatever it was? There's ongoing training.
All the
after that.
training that I mentioned in my last statement related to training was in-service training.
Okay, and you told me where the units are located. So that's good. You're ahead of me. That's good. Okay, we're going to go to the K-9 unit now. It's very intriguing because at one of our hearings, we did have the robotic dog, so it's intriguing. So how long has the K-9 unit in the FDNY been operating?
Sure. So the K-9 unit was formed in 2017, where we had one K-9 team. Prior to that, we had no K-9s. BFI added a second K-9 team in 2018. These K-9s were single purpose, with the ignitable liquid detection being the K-9's only discipline. Both of those canines were acquired and trained by New York State Office of Fire Prevention and Control. Then in 2020, BFI added 2 additional canine teams for a total of 4. Then we had a 5th canine team added in early 2021. In the fall of 2021, we had a dedicated supervisor just for the canine team assigned to supervise and manage the canine unit. In 2023, in May, one of our fire marshals in the unit graduated from an 8-week canine trainer course in scent detection. Following this, that fire marshal graduated from a separate 5-week trainer course which certified him as a trainer in the field of urban search and rescue, disaster dog training from the foundation to deployment. These certification courses were given by the Penn Vet Working Dog Center. The canines added in 2020 and 2021 are dual-purpose canines with ignitable liquid detection and live find search and rescue disciplines. The decision to have dual-purpose canines did not permit any additional canines to be acquired from the Office of Fire Prevention and Control because they will only train certified single-purpose canines in ignitable detection only. As a result, the 3 newest and youngest canines were acquired from Penn Vet Working Dog Center. The certifications for these disciplines come from 2 separate certifying agencies. Ignitable liquid detection certification is through the United States Police Canine Association. All active canine teams are currently certified in scent detection by the USPCA. Live find search and rescue certification is through the Urban Search and Rescue System. Again, all active dual-purpose canines are currently certified by SUSAR. That's the State Urban Search and Rescue. The unit trains for competency in both disciplines, scent detection and live find search and rescue, by spending 1 day a week, typically Wednesdays, as a training day. As a certified canine trainer, one of those fire marshals oversees all matters pertaining to training. Training days vary to accommodate different training venues. In addition, members will perform daily maintenance training on or off duty, so the dogs need to be trained every single day. This training regimen clearly meets any training recommendations, as most agencies, such as the USPCA and SUSAR, cite 16 training hours per month as the recommended amount of training. The unit also conducts training with other agencies, such as NYPD, New York City Corrections, TSA, inside of New York City, and often hosts canine-related training at the FDNY Fire Academy. Since 2021, the unit has also performed in numerous certifications, trials, and competitions, which resulted in numerous first-place finishes in ignitable liquid detection standings. The unit currently works 7 days a week from 8 to 6, with at least 1, but most likely 2 canines on duty, depending on leaves. In addition to responding to the fire investigator request for ignitable liquid detection, unit also responds to major technical rescue matrix runs. That's in conjunction with SOC. Those are any serious emergencies that include building collapses, explosions, and aircraft incidents. When the unit is on duty, all major technical rescue responses are dispatched to the unit immediately via the MDT, department radio, incident command app, or via department cell phone. Any off-duty requests for scent detection, for ignitable liquid detection, as well as requests for live find, search and rescue at confirmed collapse rescue incidents, result in an off-duty member to respond.
Okay, great. You really did expound on one little question. So, you know, we're lucky enough to have with us today Fire Marshal Joseph DiGiacomo, who was there when this first began, and I want to thank him for his service to the department. I know that there was a lot of oversight. He was one of the initial handlers, and he's going to do a demonstration for us today, because I thought if we gave the robot canine a chance, we should give our live canines a chance to show what they do, because they are instrumental. And it is important that their handlers are trained. And so what happens, okay, so I'm a dog lover, I'm an animal lover. So what happens when the handler goes on vacation? What happens to the canine? Like, is there like a canine vet area? Is there a canine,
Well, our canines, all of our canines go home with the handler. So okay. They're part of their family. We do not have kennels. We do not have the resources to have kennels within BFI. We do have the option to utilize NYPD's kennels, But that's really not ideal. These dogs are part of our handlers' families for the most part, and they take them home every night. A lot of them have children, and they are part of their family. We're not,
I get it.
we're not at war. So, these are, they do have a very serious job. However, they love their dogs. So they take them home every night, and they care for them as if they would any other family pet.
Right, and that's written into your rules and regulations. This is your dog, your handler, you're the handler, you
Right
take
now,
care.
we are working on rewriting all of our books, and I believe we are really at the finish line with that. It was a big process to get it done. We were able to secure funding to have a company work with us called Lexipol to rewrite all of our books from top to bottom, and that will have an extensive canine policy within those manuals.
And we spoke about training for the fire marshals. What type of training is ongoing and required to keep the canine ready for an investigation?
I think I addressed that in that
You did?
canine
Okay.
statement.
There was a
but-
lot there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I just want to make sure
Maybe you
we
just
were
want to cherry
comprehensive.
pick it out for me.
I wanted to be comprehensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they train every day. That's the easy answer. We do train every day, and they're required to have 16 hours of training a month, and I think we go well above that. Our units, as I mentioned, they compete in competitions. We regularly win those competitions. I think we're relatively new in the canine world, but I'm very proud of the work that our canine members have done and accomplished. And as you mentioned, the robot dogs are a great PR thing for the fire department, as are our live dogs. I love getting them out, not only to fire scenes to do that serious work, but to do fire safety education as well. I think that goes a long way. I think people listen to your message when you bring the dog out. Our dogs are friendly dogs. They're not force protection.
So their continued training is really done by the handler? So
The
handler is
and
trained
our
then
trainer. Yes, we have a trainer as well, a full-time trainer, who operates as one of those teams, and they do train together at least once a week.
Okay, and they get their qualifications how? The full-time trainer?
The trainer, again, he did go to he has the qualifications to
Okay.
train adults, yes.
Okay.
In both
So they
live
work
fire and
really
inside.
hard. So when do they get to retire?
It's like a human, same way, right? When you feel that the dog cannot perform its duties properly, if maybe the handler has a medical issue themselves, sometimes it's very difficult to repurpose the dog after. As I mentioned, these are family dogs also, so I would hate to have to take a dog from somebody and repurpose it when that dog has become part of somebody's family. Luckily, being that the unit is so new, we really haven't faced that much, and I believe every one of our handlers loves their dog and would want to keep that dog, and we would accommodate them in that.
Right, and are we looking to grow the canine unit with more dogs?
As you mentioned,
Effective?
resources are, we are asking our catching marshals to accomplish a tremendous feat at the base, and I think that's our core competency is fire investigation. The dog provides a tremendous resource for us at any scene. However, the marshal himself, we just started this unit in 2017. I think we need to make sure that we provide the citizens a timely response to these incidents, to conduct an investigation, and that core competency is done by the catching fire marshals at the base. But anything that improves our efficiency, we will definitely support that, and as you mentioned, our resources are stretched very thin. But if given more resources, of course, we would look into expanding.
Right, I think you answered all my questions ahead of time on the handlers and training and what's required, so thank you for that. I don't think you mentioned where they're trained. Are they trained at the Rock, or?
It depends. We do various trainings specific to different incidents, but most of the time we do train at the Rock. We have a collapse pile there that we can conduct search and rescue. They do demonstrations a lot. I don't know if any members of the council have ever seen one of our canine demonstrations out at the Rock. We do that from time to time. It's specific to what we are working on at the time. They may travel around. They go to NYPD facilities as well to train. NYPD has a lot of canine units, so we do train with them as well. Okay,
and on the investigation, what type of investigations with the canines be used in. So we have fires, right? We have search and rescue, unfortunately. Can you take me through like a fire investigation using a canine?
Sure. So currently, the canine's requested by the supervisor at the scene. So the supervisor will make the evaluation of the scene and see if they think it would be warranted for a canine to respond. We don't have a standard response where they're responding on a matrix, let's say. So they're not responding to every, say, multiple alarm. They respond based on the request of the supervisor at the scene that evaluates the scene and recognizes the need. The supervisor will then reach out to our canine supervisor. They'll confer and then make that decision whether to dispatch the canine or not. And then sometimes when the canine unit gets out there, the handler himself will make that evaluation and see if it would be worth running the dog at that scene. Evaluate the safety precaution that the dog would have to face. We want to make sure not only our marshals are safe, but our canine units are safe as well. But the short answer of that is the supervisors at the scene, in conjunction with the supervisor of the unit, will confer and determine whether that is needed to respond.
Okay. And are there any safety concerns, and is safety gear used for the dogs?
There's always safety concerns in any incident. With the marshals also, we are very concerned, and we do not operate in what we would call hot zones. We wait until fire operations has extinguished the fire, conducted their overhaul process, searched for pockets of fire, made sure that the scene is safe. So we want to evaluate that scene prior to conducting any investigations. And as I mentioned,
We're going to ask you, Chief, just to move the mic a little closer.
sorry.
They can't hear you out over in the media.
sure. Yeah, so
I hear you just fine. It's
I'm
just,
sorry. So we go there and we'll evaluate that scene. Of course, in every scene, not just the canine-related scene. We have to make sure that we're going to be safe there. So we do provide equipment for not only the canines, but our marshals as well. So we want to make sure that we are operating with best practices when it comes to fire investigation. We'll go there and evaluate every scene, not just for the human hazard, but for the canine hazard. So the canine handler will get there, take a look at the area, because it may be jagged glass on the floor, and we don't want to run the dog. We do have booties for the dog that will cover their feet to protect their feet from any sharp objects. But that determination will be done by the handler ultimately. We're never going to force a handler to conduct a search that does not feel that it's safe. But some of the personal protective equipment that we give to the marshals, we give them a helmet, a regular fire helmet. You keep that helmet when you become a marshal. We also give them a hard hat type helmet with a light on it. They keep a set of bunker gear. That's the fully firefighting gear, structural firefighting gear. We keep one set of those. We're actually piloting multiple other sets of gear that we think may be specific to fire investigation, which actually it would be revolutionary in the world of fire investigation. None exists right now. We would be developing the newest and most revolutionary fire investigative gear probably in the world. So we have 3 sets of gear. We've been piloting that for a year now. We think we're pretty close to making a decision on what that would look like. Because the bunker gear is generally not the best practice for a fire investigation. It's very hot, and it's not, the dexterity is lost in that as well. And you may be operating for an extended period of time, and it could be bad for the marshal. We give them a pair of bunker boots, which is regular structural firefighting boots. We also give them a pair of tech rescue boots, which is probably better for us to operate in long term. They get one coverall, which is kind of like a mechanic's jumpsuit. They also get a pair of work gloves, and we also provide them with a half-face respirator with P100 cartridges, which we believe would be sufficient in most cold zones in fire to filter out particulates from getting into their respiratory system. And we also give a pair of safety goggles.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I just want to go back to what you were saying. You were rewriting the rules. Is that for just canine or for all of BFI?
The comprehensive rewrite of our books, which hasn't occurred for a while, and we're excited about that, and we're looking to roll that out pretty soon.
Timeline?
We're doing internal review right now. It's been done by the company that we work with, Lexipol, and we hope to get that done soon. We're reviewing it internally.
Okay, and following all the investigations, and now you have all the information back, do you share those results with fire victims or impacted civilians, or does it remain internally with the courts? How does that disseminate out?
Well, we keep it in our database, the BFI database, and we receive thousands of FOIL requests a year, thousands, and we fulfill those when possible, always, but redact them to the point that we need to satisfy those requests. But we do receive many requests, fire report requests, BFI requests, and we fulfill them as they come in. But we do not proactively reach out to people to report out on the causes, no.
So if my house burned down and it was suspicious, I guess I would find out if through my insurance company that.
Possibly, but we don't directly notify the insurance company what that may be either. They would have to request that from us, make a written request through FOIL, because it has to go through the redaction process. We don't want to share sensitive materials, HIPAA-related issues, or anything that would be precluded by law. So when the marshal completes his investigation, we forward that investigation that has been foiled to our legal department, and the legal department conducts those reviews to decide what needs to be redacted and what can be shared and what cannot be shared.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to now turn over to what my colleague was talking about, which is lithium-ion battery fires. So I know that it's a learning curve, because these are things that have been happening over the last number of years, and we know that it's difficult, right? We're seeing now lithium-ion batteries exploding in the back of garbage trucks. And, we know that many lives have been lost because of lithium-ion batteries. And I applaud the department for, your groundbreaking regulations and changes in policy when it comes to protection for your members when going out and investigating, but more importantly, putting out these fires, because they are a challenge, to say the very least. So to my colleague's point, oftentimes FDNY conducts investigations, and they're related to improper storage of lithium-ion batteries and electric mobility devices. When you visit a location that has that, what is the practice after that? Are they confiscated? Are you able to confiscate them? Like, how can you protect the surrounding area from people who are bad actors and have these uncertified lithium-ion batteries or ill-wired electric mobility devices? Yeah,
so you recognized our efforts, and I appreciate that, but I also recognize the council's efforts in putting together legislation to kind of curb this, and I think it's been effective. I think you're referring to post-fire. These are post-fire or just inspections on there?
I think it's post-fire, like you're going in, you get a tip.
Yes, so post-fire, if we determine that the cause of that fire was a lithium-ion battery, even if we discover lithium-ion battery cells at a location, because not every time that we discover these devices at a fire scene, they're so prevalent within our city, not every time are they the cause. So if they are subjected to fire, they may fail, but they may not be the original cause of that fire. We view these cells as imminent danger to the public. They do have a tendency to reignite the cells, and they can be ejected up to 60 feet from where the device is. So anytime the marshals encounter even one cell while we're conducting our investigation, we request our hazmat units to come out there and package it safely. When hazmat does come out, they treat it as an imminent fire. They're fully encapsulated on air to collect these devices. They're packaged in barrels with a material that we call cell block that would prevent them from reigniting. So we treat every one of these as almost an explosive device that could go off at any time. So anytime we find them, we will back out. The marshals will back out, treat it as it could erupt into flame at any minute, and we request that hazmat unit to safely collect that and neutralize it. So all the cells, if we find individual cells, even if they have not been part of in the area of the fire, we treat those as such because they may have been subjected to heat. And it's very hard for us to determine which ones will fail and which ones will not. It's very hard. You have to look internally at these cells, which is impossible. So we treat that very, very carefully and safely. We will not operate in an area where we know that some of those cells are subjected to fire.
All right, great. And we talk about the lithium-ion task force. So if you can just explain that to us, what other city agencies are involved in it regarding inspections and enforcement? How does the FDNY coordinate efforts with those partners? How many FDNY fire marshals and other staff focus on lithium-ion battery-related inspections and enforcement? And is anyone directly assigned to that? I asked that many questions because I know you got a big paragraph to read to me.
No, I don't. On that one, I'm so used to talking about batteries that, which is a great thing. I think we've made a lot of progress. So the task force is staffed with members of BFI, members of Bureau of Fire Prevention, and members from Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. That's staffed on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. We go out, we have a list of locations that we will inspect or re-inspect or follow up on violations that have already been written. So we have a list of places that we would like to get to every single day. Of course, we may get caught up in one of them that requires a lot of enforcement, and we may not get to that location until the next day. But we staff that regularly with 2 fire marshals that staff on a daily basis. BFP has a minimum of 2 fire prevention inspectors, and DCWP varies. I believe they would have a minimum as well of 2. We do have a supervisor now that has taken over for George, who we lost a couple weeks ago. So we went through an interview process after the loss of George to select somebody else to take his place, and he has recently moved into that role. So they go citywide. Most of those inspections are related to either complaints or commercial establishments that we are aware of. And again, we encourage the residents of the city to let us know about any new commercial areas that have opened shops related to lithium-ion batteries, because I believe they open up almost every day.
I appreciate that. Now let's turn to fireworks enforcement task force. I represent a district that is obsessed with fireworks. Legal shows, which we do, and others that just shoot fireworks for any reason. And so what does the task force do?
So we work on that based upon our staffing levels, and it's been very difficult for us to do interdictions with fireworks recently. We would work with NYPD. They have a unit that would also work on that, and the sheriff's office has been very aggressive when it came to fireworks recently. We have made trips out to Pennsylvania to see people that are buying bulk products and stop them from bringing them into the city from time to time. It's difficult for us, and the penalty is not really sufficient to really curb these devices being brought into the city. As you mentioned, we do have an explosives unit within the Bureau of Fire Prevention that does monitor those commercial shows. But the regularly commercial bought products are very difficult to regulate because, as you know, these things are sold legally in states that adjoin our state. So people can go there on a day trip and bring back hundreds of dollars worth of fireworks, and it's close to impossible for us to really know where they are or where they're coming from.
Yeah, what happens, let's say you do find a large cache of fireworks, illegal fireworks. What happens to them? Are they disposed of?
We will take them, and NYPD will dispose of them in Rodman's Neck. That's their range facility where I believe they blow them all up in bulk at some point. I've never been there for that, but I was told that's how they dispose of them. They would be charged with legal possession of fireworks, which is really, it would be a desk clearance ticket. So that would be our process. We do collect them, of course, and we safely dispose of them via the NYPD.
All right, and the task force is seasonal, right?
Yes.
So what happens on the off-season? Is it just NYPD or?
I don't know that NYPD, I can't speak for NYPD. I don't know if they have
All right,
a
so,
stated
so
task force.
when it's not seasonal, what is the season, would you say, that they're in force?
I would say Memorial Day, probably, it slows down significantly after the 4th of July, but I would say the summertime.
But throughout the summer, they're in force, right? You'd say
anytime-
Memorial to Labor?
Yeah, anytime we're made aware of a concern, we'll take a look at it. But really, the peak times, I would say, leading up to the 4th of July, of course.
4th of July, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to lithium-ion batteries for a second. So does FDMY or DCWP have a listing of all commercial establishments that sell mobility devices and/or lithium-ion batteries?
We do have a list of places, businesses that we've inspected. Every business that we have become aware of, we have inspected. So the list, we do have a list, and I can supply that with the council if you would like, of all locations that are known to us. But these are very transient businesses. People may open one, we conduct enforcement, they may move down the block. So that's why we really rely on the public's help to let us know where these are, where they're popping up in their areas. And again, if they have any concerns, let us know and we'll get out there and take a look. A lot of times we get complaints and they're just selling regular pedal bikes, but we want to get out there and know where they are. We do have a list and I can supply you that list.
That's great. I would really appreciate that. And is there a standard for inspection schedules, or is it just upon notification?
Well, these are mostly commercial, pretty much all commercials. That's really only areas that we can actually get entry into that are required to provide us access to the commercial establishments. So majority of them are commercial. We do get complaints from time to time about concerns in common areas of buildings, which we also have the jurisdiction to inspect. So we get out there as well and inspect those within 12 hours.
On the commercial businesses, do you go regularly? Yeah, is there a regular cycle for what you know on your list as bad actors that you continually visit?
Yes,
is there a regular schedule?
We
for
re-inspect regularly, every business.
Okay, I'd like to note that Councilmember Oswald Felice has joined us. Thank you. I'll let you settle in case you have any questions. Just let me know. All right. For now, that's the questions that I have. So I think maybe we can take a 2-minute break just before our demonstration, if you don't mind. Thank you so much. If everyone can take a seat, we're going back in. At this point, we're going to open for public testimony. I now open the hearing for public testimony. I remind the members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. If I could have your attention, please, everyone. Excuse me. Please. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant of Arms for the inclusion of today's hearing. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic only, FDNY search, rescue, and investigative procedures. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. You may also email that testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. I'd like to call the first panel. Joseph DiGiacomo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fire Marshal Joseph DiGiacomo. This is Canine Ray. He's a 5-year-old Dutch Shepherd. He's named after Chief Ray Downey, who we tragically lost on September 11th in 2001. He was named after him because of Chief Downey's military service as a Marine. Canine Ray was adopted from the Military Working Dogs Adoption Center, and also that he was the first acquired search and rescue canine in the New York City Fire Department. He's going to do a short demonstration. It should be rather quick, demonstrating his ability and his skills on ignitable liquid detection.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Out. Sit. Does it work? See. So there is a minute amount. There is a minute amount of ignitable liquid. They're trained on the 9 different categories, but but not limited to about 35 different liquids each of our canines are trained on. And when I say minute amount, it's probably about a Q-tip's worth that they can find. The accelerant canines differ from all other canines. The main factor is when they find something, there's nothing there. It's a burnt out fire scene. Your explosives dogs find a bomb or narcotics find drugs. When we find something, there's nothing there. So they give an alert to sit. You saw he got his reward as a ball. Some dogs get their toy, and it's called play and praise. Other dogs will get food rewarded, and the only time they eat is when they're working. So.
Thank you so much for that wonderful demonstration.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone who came here to testify. I want to thank the panel for being so prepared and for answering each and every one of our questions more than adequately. And for my colleagues who came today, thank you so much. And again, thank you to Josh Kingsley and Will Hongash, who I couldn't get through a hearing without. Everyone have a great, wonderful, safe rest of the day.